Hello! In this video, I'm going to show you the quickest way I know to do mattes, and I'll be using Layer Boss. I went over the basics of Layer Boss in a previous video, so you might want to check that one out first. The link to that video and to download Layer Boss will be in the description. Anyway, let's get into it. There are times when you need to send mattes with your comps, whether they need it for color or for some other reason. In some cases, I have been able to just solo the foreground layer and then render the alpha channel. However, that only works in comps that are pretty simple. In this case, for example, I want the matte to include the people, but not the background and not the lower third that's on top. If I were to solo the host, the alpha channel would include the lower third, unless I subtract it, but then it starts to become a big mess, especially with the more complicated comps. So in this case, I need to make them manually, if you will, by painting the foreground and the background layers with either white or black, using the fill effect. This, of course, takes a bit of time, especially if you have tons of layers and tons of comps. So that brings me to Layer Boss, which is the quickest way I know. If you need to install it, follow the link in the description. So I'll bring it up from the window menu. First, let me show you how quick it can be, and then I'll backtrack and explain. Let's say I need mattes for all these comps. All I need to do is go to Layer Boss and change this setting from Active Comp to Selected. Now I can select the comps I want, and I already have two presets for the mattes, one for the foreground and one for the background. So I'll do the background first, then click Apply, and that paints all the background layers. Now I select the foreground, click Apply again, and that painted the foreground layers. So I'm done. As you can see, all the comps have mattes that include the people, but not the lower thirds and not the background. And I think that's pretty cool. All right, let's backtrack a bit and let me show you how to do it from scratch. The first thing I did was to tell Layer Boss which layers are the foreground. And for that, I use this section called Tags. Tags are a little piece of text that goes on the layer name that helps Layer Boss identify the layers. In this case, I use this foreground tag that you can see in the layers as well, but they can be anything. I tend to enclose them in either brackets or other symbols. You could use @ or hashtags if you wanted. The point is that if another layer happens to have the same text in the name, they don't get confused. These comps that I just did already have the tags, but I have another set here without them, so I can show you how to apply them. So these are normal comps. They have no tags, nothing special. They're just as if I had just made them. In order to tag the foreground layers, I just need to select the tag. In this case, I'm going to use this foreground tag, and now I just select the layer and then click Apply, and that applies the tag at the end. If I want to remove a tag that I placed a while back, I can just click Remove instead. And it's the same down here if I create a new tag. This is for custom tags that are not in the list. You can just type it, for example, #foreground, so I can apply it. Or if I want, I can also save it for future comps or future projects. Now I have to do that in the other comps, so I'll open it, select the foreground layer, click Apply, next comp, select foreground, click Apply, next comp, select foreground, Apply. All right, it's probably easier if you plan ahead and do this while you're on the comp, but applying it after the fact is not too bad either. Now that the foreground layers are tagged in all the comps, I just have to apply the colors. So I already have these presets, but if I was doing it from scratch, I would click on Include Layers. And at the top here, layer name must contain. I'll use the tag foreground. Then I go to Apply Changes, Fill with Color, White. Then comes to Effect, which is already selected, and then select the comps and click Apply. So all the foreground layers now should be white. But of course the other ones are not black yet. To do that, I basically need to invert the layers that are included so that it applies it to all the other layers, and invert the color so that it's black instead of white. So I'm going to go back to Include Layers, and I'll just swap this from Must Contain to Must Not Contain the tag. So everything that's not the foreground will be selected. Now I'll go back to Apply Changes, and I have to change the Fill with Color section from white to black. Now select all the comps, click Apply, and voila, all the comps have mattes. And you can save this as a preset for quick access, so the next time it's much, much faster. And that's it. Quick mats. The big advantage of this method is that once your main comp is tagged, if you get asked for changes, you can just do all the changes and then delete the old mats and create new ones with just a couple of clicks. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. Check out the other videos. There's one where I do something similar to this, but I use Layer Boss to make the previews go faster. Also, check out the other extensions. There are some cool things that you can do. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video.